welcome to the RTO show. I'm your host, Pete Chow, and today we're doing a vendor spotlight on Living Essentials Brandon Gin and how they're doing the 2024-2025 year concepts, what's coming up, what's going on, and better yet, how the heck are you doing? Brandon, it's so great to have you on the show. How you doing today, man?
Hey Pete, thanks for having me on. We're getting through 2024. That's the biggest thing I think everyone's kind of going through right now, and we have a lot planned, and it's making sure that we have those plans come to life, and that's kind of what 2024 has been about. We want to make sure that we're getting products out to you guys, and kind of going into this further where we have a lot of product development. And one thing, I don't know if it's been stressed enough, but we product develop specifically for rent to own. We don't just make product just so that it can be made and it goes to the masses on e-commerce. No, we really want to focus on developing products that work for rent to own, whether it's adding small little like little kinks, like USBs in your headboards. Recently we
The
just put
good stuff.
it's the good stuff, it's things, little small things that people like. But like recently we just did a 62-inch sound bar in one of our TV consoles, and it's a fireplace. So we're
Nice.
looking at doing a lot of those things, and we there's a lot in the pipeline. So 2025 is turning out to be very exciting. But of course,
2025, baby. Listen, let me tell you, 2025 is where it's at because 2024 is rough. It's been rough here. I'm not going to lie. Rentone has been going through it. Some people want to talk about it. Some people are a little shy to talk about it. I can tell you right now that the sales haven't really slowed. They've changed. There's a lot more online than there used to be, but that means that our demographics are changing. The older people are starting to tap out. The younger generation's coming in. We've got inflation that's kicking our butt all over the way. I mean, going into this, and I know this is a little bit of a sidebar. The election years, I've had conversations with people about the election years. The election years are rough because you don't know what's coming in. You're sure of what's leaving, but you don't know what's coming in. You don't know how it affects your business. Now, Living Essentials does a lot of things overseas, right? So that you bring it over. How does that affect the business when you have, you're stationed overseas and then somebody goes, hey, you know what? We appreciate your business, but we might start adding some tariffs or there might be something that you ship in. How does that affect you and your customers?
Yeah, I think for us right now, that's one of the biggest things that's been kind of kicking my butt right now is kind of how we're gonna combat this tariff that's coming in, whether it happens or not, or because there is rumors that are going around that they're saying it's used as a negotiation tool,
Right.
um, but on our side, whether or not it happens, we want to make sure we're being reactive, and we're not reactive, we're proactive. That's the right word there. But it's we're just trying to make sure. The other thing is along with the tariffs, we have Chinese New Year's coming up. So during Chinese New Year's, overseas, they kind of halt everything for like 2 weeks.
I was going to say it's a long thing, right? It's not like a little time frame. It's like, man, everybody's getting up and we're partying. We're gonna bring in the new year like on style, but then it shuts everything down for 2 years, and then everything not only stops, but then it has to ramp back up, right? It has to get back up to production levels.
On our side, we're trying to make sure we have adequate inventory, and also what we're trying to do is as well is come up with a lot of different solutions, a lot of different game plans to see how we can kind of reduce the tariff. And so there's a lot of background work going on, a lot of talks with partners overseas, and it's just kind of sums up my last 2 months. So yeah.
Well, you got a lot going on. Here's a question though. You're getting ramped up for the tariffs, possible, because you're right. They did say it was a negotiation tool, so it doesn't mean that it's happening, but you do have to prepare, like you said. I mean, God only knows it's going to affect the rest of the rent-to-own industry, so I agree with you. And then you have everything going on with the Chinese New Year. You're coming out of 2024 with an election year. There's a lot going on. So what happened with Trib? You just came back from a Trib show. How was that?
Well, it's not a Trib show. It was the Trib meeting.
Trib meeting. I'm sorry. Rephrase that. Trib meeting. That's what I meant to say.
Trib meeting. I think it went great. Something that Trib had mentioned to us last year was Living Essentials. We kind of started doing everything. I think primarily before we were known as like kind of your fireplace one-stop shop type place, but we really wanted to change that, and so But one thing I think we did while we did that change was we lost our identity within rent to own as a whole for even a lot of our customers. And this year, I kind of really solidified our identity where, what we are at a core is, coming up with innovative products. And that's specifically manufactured for rent to own. And so, during that meeting, I had a chance to kind of sit in front of the board and just go over our 2025 pipeline. And, I've been to that meeting 3 times now, which is about 3 years. So it's probably the best reaction I got out of that meeting. So it helps me because it goes in 2025, and I'm really excited. I'm piped up, and I'm excited for the next show that's coming up.
So the next show, what? It's in February.
It's at the end of February in Georgia.
Yeah, and you ready for that?
Ready Camp, of course, and then we have, we're actually doing our first showroom in Vegas for the Vegas market that's coming up too. So that's something else we discussed during the meeting. Kind of an opportunity for us to showcase all of the new 2025 things we're bringing in, and really from there, it's creating the hype, creating some of the items that we're looking at here, where it's things that people have talked to us about, where they said, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you guys have something like this? No, we don't. But hey, give us some time. We can work on something. Um,
So how does it work? Do you guys take like a whole, like, let's say there's a list of things, you guys write it down somewhere. It's an input box, right? And then you go, okay, enough people have asked me for this LED, fireplace with screaming speakers everywhere and somebody in the back cooking something. Like everything's going on, and then you take all that, and then how does that work? Where do you go and say, hey, I think this is a great idea. I want to implement this without being able to charge too much and still being able to get it within the right time frames, where I'm not saying I want it today and then I get it 6 or 10 months down the road. Like, how does that work?
Really, it just comes down to a lot of the conversations I have with, whether they're my customers or they're not my customers. They haven't really purchased from me, but it's just a lot of the conversations I have with, when I go to these shows, also these one-on-ones like this, and I just spend the time to kind of discuss what are some of the needs that they're looking for, and product specific needs. And sometimes they'll just throw out a random idea, and we hear it, and we're like, oh, that could be interesting. And then we kind of start doing a little bit of homework, kind of just some quick R&D, and then we kind of start seeing where pricing comes in. And from there, if we think there's life in it, we'll kind of start pitching it to some of our really close customers that we have really good relationships with. And if they believe in it and they give us some kind of pre-order, we're full steam. We won't step on the brakes. We're just going to continue producing, and just continue to manufacture products for people that need them and ask for them.
So, here's the thing that rent to own has always had, right? People have an idea that when furniture comes into rent to own, we sell it and it's a sit and stay. Nothing that we have is a sit and stay, right? You rent it, it goes out, whether somebody keeps it, whether they're moving, whether it's short term, whether they, at the point where they want to, they want to upgrade, downgrade, can't afford it, they want to, get a lifetime reinstatement. That goes into, I'm taking it out there, now I'm bringing it back. I'm taking it out there and I'm bringing it back. I know that some of the stuff that you guys carry is that you got to make it on site, and then you've gotten into the unibody kind of thing, right, where it's kind of already pre-built.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's a huge step for rent to own. Like, not only does it help us snap it together, but when we're doing deliveries and bringing it back, it holds together better.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yeah, and really, that's the whole idea of that. The what we call it is our unfold assembly now. We used to just refer to it as our easy assembly, but easy assembly is a term that's so generically used between everyone now, where their TV console can come in 1,000 pieces and they'll say, hey, it's easy assembly, and we got you there. We're like, man, like, I don't know, it took me an hour to put it together. I mean, so we kind of moved away from that name because we
you got to
just
tell
know
them
it's
easy and quick ain't the same, okay?
exactly easy and quick is not the same, but it's so misused in the furniture world, where we just said, we have to find out a name that can really kind of tell someone what this is, like, straight to the point, right? And so that's how Unfold Assembly came about. And really, it's, again, what you just said, delivering it. For us, it was not just the delivering aspect, but it was mainly focusing on how can we help you guys when you guys go to pick up product. And so we hear it all the time because we get all these part requests, and especially for TV consoles, we know if they have to disassemble it, bolts get lost, remotes get lost.
Now, see, now you're talking my lingo, man.
So we know, we know that a lot of these little tiny parts, like in the moving parts, they all just get lost. And so what we really try to do is minimize all of that. And so that's how Unfold Assembly came about. And yeah, that's kind of the bread and butter of us, and we're trying to expand on that now. So, and
I can't.
we
I
have
can't
a
tell you
we have
how.
a bunk bed too. So
I can't tell you how many times that there's probably like this nice looking stand that we have. It might have been pre-leased, but it still looks good. It's got a lot of life left into it. And then we go to sell it, and there's a piece missing. And we're like, oh man, like it does have this great feature. Give me a minute while I call a rep, and get it and get the remote. So that definitely plays a big part in it. Now, I want to go back just a minute because, man, I'm going to be real honest with you. I love to see a Brandon gin and a sea of non-Brandon gins. Where are you from? Where's your origin? How the heck did you get into this, man? I am curious to know. I want to know your story.
man, I came into Living Essentials pretty much straight out of high school. I came on as an intern. I started in the operations side, kind of just being an assistant, and then I started really functioning with Andrew Perez, who's now our VP of Sales, and I kind of worked under him, and then we became this, yin and yang duo kind of thing. That's how we kind of call it at the office here, where he's a sales guy straight to the core. I'm not too much of a sales guy, but I do love talking to people. I do love creating solutions for things that they might have issues with, and that kind of plays into part where how I came to this role too is um, I kind of helped Andrew with the whole technical side, setting up with some customers. You have to be able to do the APIs, the EDIs, all the automation parts of that, order processing, kind of coming up with a better process, all of that. That's when I kind of started. And then from there, I started helping Andrew a lot more. And then, kind of throughout there, I got into this position, and, you know, I just, that's
Wait,
kind
wait. You
of
said right out of high school, man.
yeah.
Was he just waiting outside the doors for you to graduate and go, hey, man, let's make this happen? Like, what? Like, how do you come right into this? This is a hard
No,
business to come into, man. I
no,
mean,
no, no.
rent to own,
It's
and now you're a national sales manager. I mean, this is not just one spot or other. I mean, you've got a lot to do, and
mhm.
kudos to you for that. But like, d come on, tell me the truth. You wanted to be like a cop or a lawyer or a doctor or something, right? What happened? I mean, where did it go? Where did it all go?
No. I did not know exactly what I wanted to do. For me, a huge passion of mine was gaming, and I got pretty good. And out of high school, in high school I had the opportunity to run our esports club. So I was managing that club, where it's just pretty much high school competitive gaming. I had gotten some offers to go play collegiate.
Wait, when you say high school competitive playing on esports, what do you play?
Any game you can kind of think about there right now has an esports, like a professional high school scene, a college scene, and some amateur scene, and then a professional league as well.
What are you playing? Don't you tell me League of Legends or something like that. It better be like
Yeah,
Madden
no,
or
League of
something.
Legends was actually one of the games that I got a
I see.
scholarship
I knew
for.
it. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
It's it.
Mhm.
You know. I think it brings everybody in. But so you're in that and you're doing this, and how did that transition to Andrew? Because it sounds like you had your mindset on more of a technical factor, a more computer side, and then you're literally into the physical side.
Yeah. Quite honestly, it just kind of happened. I don't know exactly like when it happened, but I just started playing more of a role to assist Andrew, and I came to a point where I started had to communicate with customers. I was doing quite often, and I was, they kind of were like, "Hey, we think you might be able to do it," and they gave me the opportunity to go ahead and try for it. And after about a year and a half of really trying, I ended up getting the position, and we're here now. So it just again, there was no like, he's like, "Oh, go into sales." No, it was just like I just kind of woke up one day and it happened. There's no like story behind it or anything.
Man, he had you following the yellow brick road. So how old are you then?
I'm 23.
Really?
Hmm.
Wow, good for you, man.
Yeah.
I'm an old buck, man. You're a new guy into the system, but I mean, I'm telling you, when I look out there, there's a lot of different people, and I love seeing what you bring to the table. With the way you talk to people, I've always noticed that when I come over, it's always like it's never like always on the business tip. It's always like, hey man, how you doing? And then getting to know your customers and the relationships that we build, just like rent to own does. I mean, it is a relationship business. But I
Yeah.
guess where are you from? Where is your family from?
I'm born and raised in California.
Uh huh.
Mm, and my parents are first generation immigrants out of Korea. Um,
Korea, awesome.
so yeah.
My grandfather was born and raised in Hong Kong, and my grandmother was born in Puerto Rico. And I have no idea how in God's name that they ever met and had a relationship. But those are two probably the farthest speaking languages that you can come up with, and they made it work. But it's I always I always love seeing the diversity. It's hard sometimes because I got a lot of family over there. I mean, a lot that I probably don't even know of. I found out like 3 years ago I'm related to Genghis Khan, but then I think the third of the world is related to Genghis Khan, right? So
Yeah.
Uncle Genghis. But I mean, it's one of those things where I just love seeing that. I love seeing the diversity. I love seeing the difference because we all bring something different to the table. And I think that with Living Essentials, I mean, that's what I've seen, that you guys have been a little bit uh, on the edge of implementing new things. Now, I saw the last show that we had where it was like a wall and you had the stand there, and there was a lot going on. Can you explain to me? That was one of the newest one, right?
Yeah, that was our 2024 Trib Show Spotlight product. It was also this product that we had in the Hot Show. Something that I focus a lot on right now too is kind of seeing what like my age group is kind of looking to start buying and what even like friends of mine talk about. Um, they really, a lot of the apartments nowadays, they're tiny, they're small. But the biggest thing about our group is, we want to host, we want to have parties, we want to have friends over. We always want to have friends over. Like, we want to like show off that we have our own apartment. And then, we always want to have furniture here. And, you know, and those LED lights, like the whole video live tracking, that was so popular with products like the Govee and I forgot the
Govies,
one.
Govies actually, yeah, they've come up quite a bit in the last couple of years. As a
So
matter of fact, my wife wants to put some Govee lights in the outside, permanent outside lights, and I'm just like, is that where we come? But it's true
it
though.
was so popular. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
everyone does. Even like the biggest thing is right now is like TikTok, Instagram Reels, like all these short form contents. Everyone in the background has some like satisfying setup where it has like all these little lights going on, like, and so like very like personal to their characteristic. And we thought like, hey, wouldn't that be a great opportunity for us to kind of solve three things at once? It's one, it's giving you that unfold TV console that we just talked about earlier. Two, it's giving you the backboard where we're not telling you to go and nail the customer's house and mount a TV up there. It's we give you the backboard. In that backboard, we give you the TV mounting kit as well. And so now you're able to go and offer your customer a the look of a hanging TV. Um, because we know there's properties out there that are very strict on those things. And
Yeah,
one
they
thing one
are.
thing you see a lot is on social media, everyone really likes this hanging TV, mounted TV aesthetic. So that's kind of what the biggest purpose of it was. But what one thing I will say is with that product, we might have jumped a little too far ahead. We don't think we didn't educate Trib enough essentially on how the product exactly works and how it does. And we we're still giving it some life. We're still going to continue trying it out. One thing is, it creates a solution for problems that we've been hearing about. And I know TVs used to be a huge rental thing for rent to own back in the days, and now I'm like, well, I just Black Friday just happened. I was in Costco and I saw an 86-inch TV for $7.99, and I'm like, holy crap! Like it's so cheap. And 65-inch TVs are $200,
I
$300.
saw a 75-inch. I want to say I saw a 75-inch TCL for 338, and I almost fell out of my chair. Now
Yeah,
I can't tell you to the quality of the model. I can tell you it's still 4K. It still had either Roku or considered smart. It still had four HDMI's. It's thin as all get out, so it's not like you're talking about a thicker product. Where back in the day it was like LCD versus plasma. They're all LEDs right now, so they weigh half to what they used to, if not a quarter what they used to weigh.
yeah,
And so I was like, wow. And I think with rent to own, the situation has been more, we're carrying TVs because people still want them, but we have to carry them so much bigger because, like you said, the smaller ones, I mean, even now the bigger ones, but the smaller ones on a regular basis are between $200 and $300. Maybe a great model at Walmart's like 350 for a 55 inch, and that, I mean, you're talking about every single bell and whistle. So if somebody's just going in looking for a TV to either game or watch Netflix on or something for the kids' room, it is inexpensive. So I think that we've seen, 55 used to be the biggest model, that the most popular model. Let me ask you something. Are you getting everything out of your rent to own business? If you're not an A Pro member, then the answer is probably no. Look, advocacy is A Pro's bread and butter. This is why they were created and what they do best. But here's the thing, A Pro membership is about way more than advocacy. A Pro connects you to the movers and the shakers of the industry, people who've been there, done that, and they can help you do it even better. A Pro's monthly webinars give you expert insights and actionable takeaways. It's like having a masterclass for your business every single month. Got questions about complex regulations or sticky situations? No problem. APRO's legal hotline gives you direct access to experts who have got the answers. That's a peace of mind that you can't put a price on. And let's not forget the resources, news, updates, and tools that keep you ahead of the curve. Scholarships for your team? Check. Disaster relief when you need it most? Double check. APRO is your ultimate support system in the rent to own world. So stop settling for less. With APRO, members get more. More support, more connections, and more success. Head over to rtohq.org and join the APRO family today. Because in this business, more isn't just better, it's essential. See you at the top with APRO. Now it's gone up to, well, it was 65.
it's
Now
about
it's like
75.
turning into 75 is turning into
Mhm.
like the average one. And it's because for the price, you have to go up, because the truth is, for the price of a 55, you might as well just buy it. So
Exactly.
that's where we're trying to get into. I need some living essentials, right? Because I'm not only selling a TV, I need to sell a TV and a stand and everything that comes with it. Because I really want to sell the ambiance. I want to sell not only the product itself, but like you said, I want to sell the situation. I want to sell the party. I want to sell the get together. I want to sell the moment. I want to sell the moment that you can get into. Right? If you're in
Yeah.
there and you want to be by yourself, you want to just turn up the music and kick on the lights, at least you have that. And that's why I think, Living Essentials is so cool, because you guys have really gotten it well. But you've got into this, you've got the look of the hanging TV. That's so 2024, homie. What are we doing for 2025? What's down the pipe, man?
Ooh, 2025. One thing we're doing is, I guess this is an exclusive for you. So anyone who's listening to this will be the ones to know first
All
before the
right.
show. We're calling it our all season console, TV console, and that TV console is coming with a heater and fan. Um, and so we're doing a lot of the littlest things. We're coming with everything from the start, and so we know there's one out there right now, but the price point is just a little bit too high. So what we're trying to do is kind of bring it back. How can we make it a more accessible for rent to own? How can we make this a thing for you guys? Because we know that fireplace, and you were talking about products that you want them to go out and you want them to stay out. You don't want them to come back, right? And we know fireplaces kind of run into that situation where kind of once like the summertime starts rolling around, and everyone kind of just like, do I really need this fireplace anymore? No, I'd rather just kind of return it and go use that rental rate for the PS5 or Xbox. Like we know things like that happen. So we're trying to come up with a solution for you guys where that TV console now has a heater, but now also has a fan, and it's an oscillating fan. So it's not just a fan that just stays in one motion and it just lets out air. We're having it go up and down, so that way you can position it that fan to circulate the whole room.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's something we're working on. Two big things that we're also working on. They're kind of the I call it the living essential special, where we kind of just do the most obnoxious thing that you can probably possibly think of. We're doing a TV mounted bed. So it's a TV mount in the footboard of a bed, and so that way it rises up and rises down. And so if
That's
that
what I'm
if that
talking
fancies
about.
their boat, if that fancies their boat, that's something we're working on right now too. Um, and then we have a modular sofa that's coming. We know right now there's a lot of popularity with modular sofa.
They're
Uh,
huge.
it's
See,
huge.
the thing with the modular sofa is if we can get the price point right, because right now it's still got that retail price point on our end. So we get that expensive thing and we got to pass that along, obviously, for reasons, free delivery, free setup, and all that stuff. And it goes into well, now you're in a higher bracket. But man, I can tell you right now, even I want a modular sofa. I don't think my wife wants one, but just the idea of being able to change that around, you know what I mean? Because I can take a modular sofa, put it on my floor, and display it three different ways, and I think that's a win-win.
And that's the plan too. Is our modular sofa. Um, we're coming up with six core components of it, and with those six core components, um, in my head, like a couple weeks ago before that trip meeting, I was kind of just doing how many configurations we can think of doing. It's literally endless. You can do a U shape, you can do an L shape, you can do a sofa love, you can do an L shaped sectional with the left facing chase or a right facing chase. Um, if you have a room that's big enough, you can stack that whole thing up with make it a huge square with just a sofa. Um,
I keep
and
on thinking, I keep on thinking of like the kid ball pit where you just make it square, you just jump
exactly,
in the
yeah,
middle.
no.
But I think a great idea with it, and every time I think of modular, I think, wouldn't it be crazy to have like a four basic setup, right? You have four or five or whatever the basic setup is. And then you're like, if you want an extra one of that color, boom, I'll throw it in for $10 or 12, 15, or whatever it is, a week and add to it. So if you want that nine piece, I can get you a nine piece. If you want a four piece, I can get you a four piece. And so,
Yeah,
you've got people that are like, in that, like you said, that smaller apartment size, where like, yeah, I only need that. And then you got the other guy who's got this, second living room where they just want to throw out and just watch that, big 85-inch TV that they just rented from you. And you're like, hey, man, I can get you more pieces. Let's just add that on and make a bigger package. I really think it's a good idea. I mean,
exactly.
here,
And
here I am pitching it to you, but you're telling me. I love the idea.
yeah, and you mentioned that the price point thing. We've been working on this modular sofa now for about a year and a half. Um, and this is our third iteration of it, but what they say, the third one, it, we're hoping it hits.
Three times a
uh,
charm.
exactly, the third time is a charm, and we got the price point right this time, and I think that's the biggest point. um, we haven't done all the numbers calculations quite yet, but we know our price point is just far lower than what our second iteration was, and already we're having positive feedback. So the greatest thing about us too is our modular sofa. If you really just need one, you need an L shape, we can ship you an L shape one piece at a time. You don't need to order three L shapes or three extra sofas to go along with that. And then on top of that, what we're also doing is we're adding this customizable factor to it, where we're giving you three different fabrics. One's going to be your typical Chanel, kind of your everyday sofa everyone kind of carries right now. We know cord is really hot right now. Um, and then there's this Sherpa teddy material that's getting really popular again right
Oh my
now.
God, everybody has a version of that on their floor, man. Let me tell you, it's like falling into a towel.
Exactly. And but the thing is everyone has it on the floor, but then when you see it on the floor, it's your brown, it's your grays. There's no, you don't have that fun twist to it. And so our covers, they're gonna be removable and customizable. So let's say,
Really?
yeah, so we're trying to make it so that way each fabric has three to four different colors that we're offering. And from there, let's say one day you're turning your showroom over and you want a red sofa out sitting in there and just be the eyesore, right? Well, not an eyesore. I'd say more. It's like eye candy. Sorry. Um, you could do that, and then
Well,
let's
listen,
say
potato,
2 weeks.
potato, because that doesn't mean everybody wants it, right?
Exactly.
But I can tell you right now, that's going to be a hit. If you have something that you can not only move around, add to and subtract from, and you can change the color, Living Essentials is going to be like, here, I'm telling you, that's the next level.
Yeah, Pete, let me add on to that. It's also change. You can change the color, but all the fabrics are machine washable. We can
Wow.
replace one seat at a time if that's something you need. Because we know people have favorite seats, and some of those favorite seats they get beat up. Um,
My grandpa
so
had a favorite seat, man. I know.
exactly. So we're thinking ahead. We're trying to make sure, like again, it just goes back to what we're trying to do is it's product development for rent to own, and we're putting you guys first. And so some of these products we may have life in them in the e-commerce marketplaces, but we're giving it to rent to own first because we know right now the competition for you guys is the Amazon, the TikTok shops. Like these are just getting far more popular between with Gen Z especially. And why are they going to those places? One, price point, but the second one is the functionalities, the small things that they add, and the biggest thing right now is that it's LEDs. It's that aesthetic, that ambiance that they really want to create. So that's what we're really focusing on. And I think 2025 product line is really speaks to that.
Well, I can tell you right now, resale factor is huge in the rent to own business. If we can put it out there and let's say, on the other side of that, instead of using it just to change the color, but if we're using it to give it life again, to rejuvenate this piece and put it back out there, that's the bread and butter of rent to own, right? You put something out one time and it stays, hey, it's great. And I would never knock it. I appreciate every customer that comes in and goes from beginning to end, but that's not the world we live in. All right. So, there's going to be customers that have to bring it back. There are going to be customers that move. There are going to be customers that change their mind and they want something else. And being able to rejuvenate that piece, be able to give it that life is really something that's going to speak volumes to where we're getting it from. If Living Essentials has the ability to do that, I'm telling you right now, that's the way to go. And you guys heard it here first, okay? But I'm just telling you, do you want your business to make an impact? Does your brand move people? Successful brands and campaigns require thoughtful, disciplined, and creative strategies to move them forward. At Vox, they don't just print. They're creative experts with a vision to take your brand to new heights. With experience in launches, rebranding, and integrated promotions, they've done it all. And they're ready to bring your project to life from concept to completion. Whether it's tents, feather flags, custom branded merchandise, they've got you covered. From direct to object printing to engraving, they put your logo on anything. With full in-house finishing capabilities, they control every detail to ensure fit, finish, and function is never a question. Experience what makes a difference. Your brand deserves a team that understands growth, creativity, and impact. Let Vox take your brand further. Contact them today and create the impact you're looking for. I think it's a great idea. I'd love to see that because, that's something we don't have. And a lot of times a lot of the things that I spend talking to people about is like, what's new and what's going on, right? You always want to talk about what's in the industry now, who's the new guy, what are their ideas, how are things going. We've had everybody from Adam Ball. He had this idea when he came on, and he was just fresh and new to the idea that of rent to own, and I can make a difference. We love that. And when we have the guys that have been doing it for a long time, like Mike Tissett's been on the show, and he gives so much great advice because he's been doing it for a long time. He's a generational person. But we also need what's new, right? We've got what's now, we got what's new. I think the newness of this, man, it's going to kill it. I think Living Essential is going to do a great job.
And kind of just backtracking there, you were talking about you want a customer if they change their mind specifically, right? And it could be that they just want a different color of a sofa, and now you guys have another sell point. You guys have another opportunity to save that sell, keep it out there, and not have to go pick it up. You just order a cover from us, we'll get it shipped to you, and you guys can get to the customer's house, change out the covers, and damn, a whole new sofa, a whole new
Right,
look.
right. And that does happen. And, we've had people, I've just changed the color of my house. This brown isn't going to work. This gray isn't going to work, whatever. And being able to say, you know what, you didn't lose your investment. Let me go out there and change this. And I'm sure there's going to be a small price point to that. But to say, I got to go there, I got to pick it all the way back up. You've got to start on a brand new product or whatever the case is, to just say, yeah, man, let me know. And in 10 days or 7 days or whatever the ship value time is, we can get that taken care of for you. That could be huge. Really huge. Leaving the product in somebody's house is the utmost importance in rent to own. I do not want to pick it up. If I could service it there, I want to keep it there. The only thing that I ever want to do is deliver you something else.
Exactly.
So if you can do that, man, kudos to you guys for kind of coming up with and implementing that idea. Because every time I talk to somebody, I say, what's new? We talk about a lot of things that are already here, but what's new? And
Mhm.
the new man, it like fills the vacuum of the room because everybody wants it, everybody needs it, and no matter if you're with Eagle Rents, if you're with Buddies, if you're with Rent to Own, everybody would love to get something on this room that nobody has, and as quick as you can get that out, I guarantee you. Now, does Living Essential do containers?
Yeah, so we are able to do containers, but one thing we've gotten really popular now for like the one piece minimum. But we're kind of we're rolling that back now, where we're still going to offer that one piece minimum, but we're also going to start offering the FOB out of our Georgia location, because we know FOB doesn't work for everyone. At first, we thought it would, but turns out no. So we're kind of making those little changes, but containers are definitely possible. Um, if you need a container, we can definitely get that sorted for you. We just haven't had any container orders like that.
Where are the
Most of
ship points at? Where are the ship points from in the U.S.? Because you say you're stationed out of California, so
them.
obviously stuff is coming from there. But where else is the ship from?
No, so we actually closed up our California warehouse earlier this year in May.
Okay.
We actually had to move our facility, and we actually did a complete change in the direction of who we are too, where we no longer will operate a warehouse. We're just like firm and corporate office in California, but our warehouses there. We have two locations in Texas, one in Dallas, one in Austin. Um, we have Chicago, Illinois. We have Georgia, out of Savannah. And so, and the thing is, if we need a warehouse somewhere else, we can easily get one. We have a very tight connection with our partners, and they're able to get us warehouses where we need them.
Now talking about that because California is a beautiful state, but they're making it quite difficult to run a company from in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it
Yeah.
just right now, I think recently I just heard that they're about to introduce another gas tax, and it's like to the highest gas in the country, and you want to tax it. That's probably not a great idea. Is there plans to stay, or are you guys thinking about moving out of there as well?
In the long term, I wouldn't know. But we just signed a 5-year lease, so for the next 5 years, we're at
In
least
5 years, you ain't going anywhere.
we're stuck here for 5 years. But who knows? But yeah, I've always lived in California. But you know, it's just I've seen the problems. I hear about it all the time. Certainly, I don't enjoy paying all the taxes that we pay, and so hope maybe it's a future thing that happens. Who knows?
Well,
Mhm.
I wish you guys the best. I know that there's a lot going on over there, and I couldn't tell you 6 ways from Sunday how it's going to end up. But I've heard of a lot of businesses leaving that area. I've heard a lot of people who have said, you know what, I've tried, the California way, and I love California. I love the weather. I love the people. But what I don't love is just getting taxed to death on everything. And there's a lot of opportunity out there. So the problem is you go out there and there's a lot of opportunity, and you turn around and there's a lot of taxes that come with it. And so it turns those opportunities almost into the same kind of opportunity you get anywhere else. I know Texas is starting to really boom as far as where the business is going. I know some of it's actually coming to Florida. If you ever come over here, you gotta let me know. But I mean, I think it's one of those situations where you got to do what's best for the company. And absolutely, I think that's what you guys are doing over there at Living Essentials. So let's say that I'm involved in the rent to own space. I get my own place. I open up my own business and I want to do business. How do I get a hold of Living Essentials in Brandon? How does that work?
It's 909-590-1000, and then you'll be prompted to look for a department and just click sales, and I'll happy to help you out.
Now, is Living Essentials anywhere as far as social media is concerned? Or is that because of the way you ship and the way you vend, that's just not for you yet?
So it's not for us yet, but that's actually something we're working on for 2025. We want to start kind of getting a little bit more of a social presence out there, um, but in the meantime, we're nowhere to be found. Hmm.
So in that case, how did you get into the rent to own space? I mean, I know a lot of people who know your face. Everybody knows who Living Essential is. How did you guys break into that space when there really isn't a lot of advertising going on?
Harry, who's our president of the company, he's been servicing rent to own now for about 20 years. Before Living Essentials, we rebranded from Innovex. beyond Innovex, I actually don't know what the company was. I think it might have been Lock or Leda, Leda. But I know he's had a lot of experience working with errands, a little bit of Run Center, and so I've kind of been able to have the kind of have all that knowledge kind of just trickle down onto me. And see, we've just been in rent to own for a while now. Um, and obviously through Harry, Andrew, and if there was someone previous that did it before, but that's how we've been in rent to own for a while now. We're doing the product development for rent to own, and it's for you to help you guys compete against like the Walmart's, Amazon, because we know everything is becoming so price sensitive, and so again, the thing is we really want to get more involved now, especially from my standpoint as kind of heading rent to own now. I just want to kind of get more insight where we can kind of, you know, if we can bring that innovation where you guys need something, I'm more than happy to look at it.
Is there a specific way that you would like rent to own to contact you or to reach out to you and say, hey, this is what I think that your brand can do better or differently that would put us in the right spot to get more living essentials out into the customer's home?
Yeah, no, I would love to hear that. I think it's just hearing, because the thing is this: everything I've done up until now within rent to own is because I've had the opportunity to talk to people like you and the people that I have developed a very close relationship with. Um, I when I first started rent to own, I literally was kind of shadowing Eric Moore pretty much like every show opportunity that I got. I was always just shadowing him. I was just always standing next to him, kind of listening to how he converses with customers. And, he introduced me to some great people as well.
He's been doing
And
it for a long time.
he's been doing it for a long time. So, with him and, with the people that he's introduced me to, I think you and I were connected because of Scott and Daniel, when
Yes.
Daniel was still around. And it's just I spent a lot of time because I knew coming in, I had no idea what the hell I was even doing, and so I knew I had to kind of become like a sponge and just absorb all the information I can. And
Well, I can tell you right now, we appreciate what you do. I appreciate what you do. And I love having you on the show.
even for me, like I don't even really tell people how old I am because I've had some experience where customers would be like, "Oh, you're 21 or 22. Oh, I don't know if I want to do business with you." And I've had that reaction. So the people that they've kind of started working with me and given me that opportunity. Very grateful for them. So
Sometimes I always found a way that sometimes I get into it. He said, hey, I totally understand. I'm literally half your age and I'm sitting here trying to tell you what to sell in your showroom. But how about you give me an opportunity first and you let that talk first, right? Let me show you what I got. Let me show you the product and features. Let me show you how I can get it to you. Let me show you how fast this works and how simple it is. You can order one, you can order five, you can order six. If there's something that you want to talk about, we can implement. You might be able to see that down the road and we can give you we can say, this came from the conversation that we had in RTO. Before you judge me, let me show you what I got going on. Right.
that's kind of the idea that I've kind of that mindset that I've been following too is like the people who I've had some sour interactions with people who are like, oh, you're young, like I don't even know what you're doing, like I've kind of like, well, I'm kind of used to it where I've like, all right, well, if that's how you want to think about it, then I'll pass you along to Andrew. Kind of Andrew will talk you down. But, that's kind of what I've been just doing. It's just like, if that's how they believe, then sure. Hey, give me another year, however long you think it takes for me to earn status quo with you to believe that I can take care of you or take care of your business, then yeah.
Well, Brandon, I can tell you right now, experience and time are not the same. I know guys who have spent 2 years in the business and have way more experience than guys that I've seen with 10 and 12. And it's because they're not afraid to put themselves out there every single day to be better at their craft. And I know people who show up to work and they go home, and that's okay. If you want to do a 9 to 5, or if you want, rent home's not 9 to 5, but if you want to do that, that's okay. And I get that. But there are people that are on that grind, like you said, are listening into the conversations. You're trying to learn about how it goes. I want to learn the ambiance between the seller and the sellee, and what's going on between the customer and you guys, you and me and distribution, and how we put things together. And when you're in that, you're running the race. And it's kind of like I can run a mile at 5 miles an hour. I can run a mile at 10 miles an hour. And they're both going to get to the same thing, but in different time frames. So,
Yeah.
time isn't always a situation. I think that even if you have that age situation going on, I don't think it has anything to do with how good you do your
Yeah.
business.
No, now I've kind of it's been I've been at this now for about 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So it's and now I'm kind of more like, I'm confident in what I know. I'm confident
Right.
in what I'm
Right.
doing. So I have no doubts anywhere in that process.
Listen, guys, if you guys have any questions for Brandon Jin and you want to reach out to Living Essentials, don't be afraid. But you can also reach out to the show if you guys have any questions. You're also welcome to hit up the show at pete@thertoshowpodcast.com. That's our email. You can hit us up on Facebook or Instagram, both at the RTO Show. And if you want to hit us on LinkedIn, because our LinkedIn is actually getting pretty good, look me up on there at the RTO Show. Ask a question, say, hey, I didn't really catch that number, or I didn't play it back, or whatever the case is. Can you hook me up with Brandon? What do you think? And I'm going to give you the guys the detail. I think Living Essentials has a lot going on. And I can tell you right now, I think that modular sofa is going to be a super hit. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm calling that. I'm calling that into the living space. All right. It's going to be a hit for
Hopefully I'll come
2025.
back within a year and I'll give you an update on that.
That's what
So
I'm saying. Well, listen, we can do a follow up next time, and we say, hey, how did it work out? Pete, I'm going to say, you're going to say it right now. Pete told me it was going to be a hit, and it's going to happen. I think it's going to be new to the system, and I can't wait to see it. Listen, we appreciate you guys listening to us and listening to Brandon today. If you have any questions, again, hit us up at the show. But more importantly, I want you guys to have a great time. It's the end of a hard 2024, the beginning of a great 2025, and everything that you guys do, we appreciate. Please feel free to look us up on YouTube as well, the RTO Show podcast. You don't want to miss us there, and always hit that subscribe button. And I would tell you guys, as always, hey, I appreciate you, Brandon. Keep your collections low to get your sales high. Have a good one.